and we hope that it is. But also, I think you need to look at it from the standpoint that if you have an operator of a multi-purpose event venue, let's say there's a retailer, there's a restaurant that wants to go in there, and those are the types of things. And I will answer the question. I'm not going to script that. But we've spoken to a restaurant operator that has said, I kind of like this multi-purpose event venue, but most of the time when you go to a baseball game or a concert, you want to buy a hot dog, chips, whatever, the convention or the food activity is only there the day of the event. And so you go buy a hot dog and then the concessionaire is closed. But what if you have a restaurant that is open to Buchanan, that's open 365 days a year, and on game day, on concert events or whatever, it opens up into the field. And so you can have a pretty attractive ticket where people can actually spend money. And that way, from a hotel or a restaurant operator, their fixed cost is not just being amortized over a set number of hours that there are events. It's over 365 days a year. That rental revenue would go to the operator of the venue, which, again, we want them to be successful. We want them to be wildly successful so that they can continue to pay rent, they can continue to provide economic development for the area. When you think of the hotel, identical. The hotel itself will be given to the city, but the rental streams and things of that nature that would be realized would be going to the hotel operator. And the same would take place on the parking garage as well. There's going to need to be capital that will need to be invested to build out, do tenant improvements, commissions, things of that nature. And we see all of that being from the private sector. So the city wouldn't have to come up with the money, but nor does the city end up getting that revenue. The city's getting sufficient revenue to be able to repay all the debt that's out there as well. I will say one other thing, since you talked about retail. We hired a firm called RCLco, Robert C. Lesser Company. They're a consultant. We've used them in the past on a couple of other situations. In fact, Waco used them as well to do a needs assessment. We asked them to come in and say what retail is missing in downtown Amarillo, what parking issues are missing, what office is missing. And so we've already got a short list of 20, 30 different. These are the industries that the community is looking for from a retailing perspective, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's soft goods, whatever, fill in the blank for this particular market. And again, they've done a very professional job, which is helpful because our next step is to bring in a retailing partner that can basically attract the national tenants. And it's easy to go to the national tenants and say, here's a study that says you're wanted in downtown Amarillo. And that's why we did that. Hopefully that answered your question. Any other?
Let me just make sure on the hotel occupancy tax, because there's like several different ways that I think that this is working. I just want to make sure that I've got this straight. On the new hotel, on the hotel occupancy tax that's collected, part of that goes to the city, part of that goes to the state.
Correct.
Correct. With the new hotel, with I guess both pieces of legislation, the one from 2 years ago and the one from this year, 100% of that hotel occupancy tax will go back to the hotel.
That's correct.
Okay. So the good thing is the state of Texas is helping fund our project.
The state of Texas is helping because we're eliminating sales tax, which otherwise, granted, that's an opportunity cost. The state never gets it. Right. But in this situation with the legislation, the state's portion of the sales tax, the state's portion of the hotel occupancy tax is all being rebated back to this community.
Okay. And then for the other hoteliers you mentioned and wanted to point out that it's not their money that will be going for the hotel.
That's correct.
But that legislation also allows us to be able to use the state's portion of the hotel occupancy tax back to the multi-purpose entertainment fee?
No, just the local for the other hotels.
Okay, just the local.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there were certain limitations in proximity to a convention and visit field or convention center.
So the state portion is just for the hotel?
Yeah, unfortunately, a hotel on the interstate, the state keeps their portion of the hotel occupancy tax. I'm sure we can come up with legislation to get all of that. I mean, that would be millions and millions of dollars. I just don't see the state doing that one. We'll try if you want.
I think they need money. Other questions?